Good morning, Alex, Marlena. Can you guys hear us?
Good morning.
And for me,
And we're live.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is the Mendocino County Subdivision Committee meeting for April the 8th, 2021. We'll start with roll call. I am Russ Ford, Planning and Building Services.
Alex Sequeira, Department of Transportation.
Marlena Dooley, Environmental Health Land Use.
Good morning. All right, so let's start off with agenda item 2A, which is boundary line adjustment 2017-0043 for Travis Swithenbank. So before we get started on this one, I just wanted to acknowledge that we've received a lot of public comment for it. For coastal boundary line adjustments, the Subdivision Committee is only a recommending body. So those comments should be directed to the Coastal Permit Administrator meeting, which is going to be at 11 o'clock this morning, later today. So again, anybody that would have public comments for the Swithenbank BLA, please direct those to the CPA meeting at 11 a.m. So that being said, is there anybody here representing this project this morning?
We have the agent
So it looks
and
like
we have the applicant.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
So it looks like we've got Vance and Travis. Is that you?
And Jim.
No.
And Jim. Gang's all here.
Can you see us?
No video. We've just got your voice.
Oh, really? At least you're hearing me. Let me just try this real quick. How do you do this?
Attendee.
That's all right. I'll try it for the next one.
Oh, I think we muted it.
No, that's too mute.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with environmental health. Do you have any comments about this BLA?
Well, we have an open complaint that the applicant is working on for discovery of two septic systems that to date we've not been able to locate a permit for. It's my understanding that Mr. Swithenbank has hired a qualified site evaluator and is going to produce the report on the existing systems, but the winter season did not allow them to have heavy equipment or dig the test pits that are necessary for the testing. I could be wrong. They could certainly speak up to that, but we have not received the reports yet, and I'm considering making a condition that the boundary line adjustment not be completed until the septic reports have been received, because they are open complaints at this time.
Okay, do the agents or the applicant want to address that?
You submitted an application that showed where the septics was. So what you're asking is the one to the west have the septic permitted prior to recordation of the boundary line adjustments?
I believe Mr. Swithenbank was informed last year from the Coast Office that the barn septic system and the shop septic system both need after the fact validation. To our knowledge, they were illegally installed and there are current violations on this parcel.
Yeah, okay.
So what you're saying is we need to bring those up to code before we record the BLA.
Yeah.
That's not unreasonable.
So do you want to add that as a special condition, Marlena?
I do.
And are the septics on both parcels, or do we want to specify which?
They're all within the area of one parcel. I was gonna say the parcel on the left, but all of our lefts are a little relative, huh?
The parcel on the west, how's that?
How's that? Okay.
So which?
There's no development that I'm aware of on the other parcel.
So on the tentative map, we have, excuse me, we have that identified as Lot A. Is that correct?
Okay.
I think it's gone back.
Why the video's not working?
They've got it turned off on their side.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh. They don't want to see me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marlena, I've got existing septics on Lot A shall be brought into conformance to the satisfaction of environmental health.
Just for the barn and shop, correct?
Correct. We have on record the permit for the three-bedroom permit for the single-family residence. That's is the home.
Okay, Alex, any comments from DOT?
No comment.
Okay, and so as I mentioned before, this is a coastal boundary line adjustment, so the next stop will be the coastal permit administrator. And so for planning's recommendation, we're just recommending conditions per the staff report. So we would have conditions per the staff report plus the special condition from environmental health if somebody wants to make a motion. And we're recommending approval to the CPA.
I'll make the motion. I motion that boundary line 2017-0043 be recommended approval to the coastal permit administrator with the conditions from planning from the staff report and the special environmental health condition addressing the 2 open violations for 2 septic systems on site.
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, next agenda item 2B, boundary line adjustment 2021-0004 for John Fetzer. This is a boundary line adjustment to transfer about 4.5 acres from parcel 1 to parcel 2, 1.5 miles northwest of downtown Hopland at the end of Hewlett and Sturtevant Road. So I believe we have a request for continuance on that one. Is that right, Keith?
No, actually, this is Keith Gronendijk. No, actually, the lawyer for the applicant wanted to continue with this procedure today. She was mistaken about this being the final act on this boundary line, but there's other things that have to be done before it gets finalized. So she wanted to move forward with it today.
Okay, so we'll continue with the hearing. All right, environmental health. Any comments?
No comments.
Transportation.
No comments.
Okay, and planning is just recommending standard conditions. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there anybody here representing this application?
No, there's
Didn't
not.
see anybody. Okay. Okay, can we get a motion?
I motion that we approve boundary line 2021-0004 with standard conditions.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next up, agenda item 2C, boundary line adjustment 2021-0006 for Dennis and Tina De La Montaña and Daniela Martinez. This is a boundary line adjustment to reconfigure 2 parcels in Redwood Valley, 2 miles northwest of Redwood Valley on the west side of West Road at 10,200 West Road. So is there anybody here representing this application?
Ron said he would not
Have
be.
any, but we do have Vance raising his hand, but I'm not, I thought that was from the last. There we go.
Vance, did you have a comment on this one, or are you waiting for a different item?
I'm waiting for a different item. I don't know why I raised my hand. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm sorry, Vandy, you said something?
I was just stating that Ron Franz, the agent for the project, will not be in attendance today. Neither will the applicants.
Okay. Environmental health. Any comments?
No comments.
Transportation?
No comments.
Okay, and planning is recommending standard conditions. Can we get a motion?
I motion that we approve boundary line adjustment 2021-0006 with standard conditions.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 2D, boundary line adjustment 2021-0007 for Daniel and Becky Thomas, Ralph and Jill Lucero, William and Donna Nash. This is a boundary line adjustment to transfer about 1/3 of an acre each from parcel 1 to parcels 2 and 3. This is about 1/3 of a mile south of Redwood Valley on the west side of East Road. Is there anybody here for this application?
No, there's not.
Okay, environmental health,
No comments.
transportation.
No comments.
Planning is recommending standard conditions.
I can't hear anything. Are you talking?
I did. Can I get a motion? Sorry.
Oh. I recommend that we approve boundary line 2021-0007 with standard conditions.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, agenda item 2E, boundary line adjustment 2021-0008 for Francis Buschmann. This is a boundary line adjustment of 2 existing parcels, roughly swapping 40 acres between a 40-acre parcel and a 200-acre parcel, 8.5 miles northeast of downtown Laytonville, 1 mile from Simmerly Road at 8450 Simmerly Road. And Vance, I think you're here for this one.
Yes, sir.
Any comments or anything you'd like to say about it?
I think you summed it up just right. We're just moving the 40 acres from the southeast to the southwest.
Okay. All right, environmental health.
I just want to confirm and note that one of the water wells, permit 23989, is going to switch lots. So we're going to be transferring it from the 200-acre lot B into what's going to be lot A. That was more of a informational tidbit, Vance.
Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why they're doing this.
Okay, transportation.
No comments.
Okay, and planning is recommending standard conditions. So can we get a motion?
Motion that we approve boundary line adjustment 2021-0008 with standard conditions.
Second that.
All in favor? Okay, next up, boundary line, agenda item 2F, boundary line adjustment 2021-0009 for Duval Family Holdings. This is a boundary line adjustment to reconfigure 4 parcels, 3 miles northeast of Philo on the east side of Clow Ridge Road at 7225 Clow Ridge Road. And do we have anybody here for this application?
No, we
No
do
one
not.
is in attendance for this application.
Okay, thank you. Environmental health.
Well, I had 2 questions. I wanted to know if the barn was going to switch lots, and they have 6 open well permits, and it looks like application proposed well number 8 is right along the proposed line between lot 3 and 4. And I would like to know which side of that line that proposed well is going to end up on. Or what their intent is. Which side, which parcel are you going to drill on? Because right now it's not clear.
So sorry, I'm looking at the map at the moment. So which proposed lot are we looking at?
The change between the red and the brown,
Okay.
that line, they have an open application to drill right along there. And the application for the well and this map are not zoomed in enough to answer that question. So I wanted to know that. I could certainly say, can you submit a revised map that clarifies the proposed location of well application number 8, and I could send that to them. And I was,
I was going to ask alternatively if we could just condition it that the tentative map that they file have all the wells addressed on it.
well,
Very clearly on which parcel.
the reason I didn't say that is because these are all proposed. They don't exist yet.
Okay.
So they need to either revise where they want them on the well application or clarify the two. Because this map is so zoomed out and the well map is so zoomed in, I can't tell. So it's a paperwork issue. It shouldn't stop the boundary line, but I do want to have a condition of the location of proposed well number 8 identified.
Okay.
And I was just curious if the barn was switching to lot 1. I think it is, but I'm not sure. But that's not a condition. I'm trying to sort our files because they're all by address and parcel number. So the correct structures need to be on the correct lots.
So you're looking at proposed well number 8 specifically?
Yes, that's the only one. There are many, but that's the only one that this will definitely, potentially, I can't tell.
I believe the barn would be ending up on this new parcel 1.
And they may wish to revise the location of 8 to make sure it's on newly created lot 3 instead of on 4.
Okay.
It's up to them.
Okay, so I've got a special condition 7. Applicant shall submit a revised tentative map showing the location of proposed well number 8 to the satisfaction of the Division of Environmental Health.
Right, thank you.
Okay, transportation, any comments?
No comments.
Okay, and planning is recommending standard condition, so it would be special condition 7 along with the standard conditions.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion. Okay. I motion that we approve boundary line 2021-009 with standard conditions and special condition 7 from environmental health.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, agenda item 2G, boundary line adjustment 2021-0011 for Brad and Kirsten Ingram. This is a boundary line adjustment to trade 0.15 acres between two parcels, 2.5 miles southeast of Redwood Valley at the end of Ponderosa Way. Do we have any representatives here?
No one in attendance?
Okay, environmental health.
No comments.
Transportation.
No comments.
Okay, and planning is recommending standard conditions.
I move that we approve boundary line adjustment 2021-0011 with standard conditions.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 2H, boundary line adjustment 2021-0012 for Ernest and Eileen Whip and Robert Acevedo. Boundary line adjustment to transfer 7,500 square feet from parcel 1 to parcel 2, 3 miles north of Ukiah on the south side of Lake Mendocino Drive, located at 311 Lake Mendocino Drive. Any representatives here?
There are no representatives for this project.
Okay, environmental health, any comments?
No comments.
Transportation.
No comment.
Okay, and planning is recommending standard conditions.
I move that we approve boundary line adjustment 2021-0012 with standard conditions.
I second that.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, and our last BLA for the day, agenda item 2I, boundary line adjustment 2021-0013 for John Wagonette and Nancy Wallace. This is a boundary line adjustment to adjust acreage between two parcels about a mile north of Willits on the north side of Sherwood Road at 24031 Sherwood Road. And I don't see anyone for this.
No, there's nobody participating for this.
Okay, environmental health,
No comments.
transportation,
No comments.
planning is recommending standard conditions.
I move that we approve boundary line adjustment 2021-0013 with standard conditions.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Okay, so that brings us on to agenda item 3A, which is our first minor subdivision of the day. So it's minor subdivision 2011-0002 for John and Myrna Foster. This is actually an extension of time for a minor subdivision of an 8.93 acre parcel to create 4 parcels, 0.2 miles west of Laytonville on the south side of North Road. So I think what we want to do on this one is we actually want to request a continuance. The state recently passed an assembly bill which is going to automatically extend certain subdivisions for 18 months. We believe that this subdivision fits that requirement, but we're waiting for confirmation from legal counsel on that. One of the restrictions on gaining that automatic requirement is that the subdivision cannot have been granted an extension already. So if we grant the extension today, it eliminates that free extension that they would get otherwise. So we're going to continue this, request continuance to the May 13th meeting until we hear back from council and then proceed accordingly.
And if I may just ask, will the project need to go to the subdivision committee to request this special allowance, or does it automatically without any approval?
I believe that it takes effect automatically upon passage of that assembly bill.
Okay, so a memo to the project file will suffice to indicate.
Correct.
It's
Yeah. Historically, I believe that's the way that we've done it. Just updated the timeline in the file and just tack on that 18 months to the end of the initial expiration date.
Okay, thank you.
Vance has his hand up again.
Vance, did you have a comment?
Jim,
Go ahead.
it's Jim. And so will you be notifying us of the timeline that you're going to amend in the file so that we can confirm that the assembly bill did in fact get passed and that the automatic extension has occurred?
The memo should the Director Gonzalez agree with the determination that the extension applies for this project, I will be sending the memo to the applicant owner agent as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm unsure if we need a motion to continue this or if we can just.
We're also
Technically
confused.
do.
We're going to motion to continue.
Okay,
Is that correct?
go for it.
Okay, I make a motion that we continue MS 2011-0002 to a date uncertain,
We'll continue it to May 13th.
May 13th.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so next up is agenda item 3B, minor subdivision 2020-0003 for John and Natalie Smythe. This is a proposed minor subdivision of a 216 acre parcel into two parcels of 90 acres and 126 acres, 3.5 miles north of Laytonville on the west side of Highway 101 at 48,600 North Highway 101. So our staff planner for this project is Siobhan Holmes. And who do we have representing the project today on the applicant side?
Sam Pope is here to speak on behalf of the applicant.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Sam.
How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. How are you?
I am doing awesome.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the recommended conditions that we put
I do.
together? I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm just going to go down this list of recommended conditions. Siobhan, do you want to give a little outline here first? And I think, well, okay, let's go with Marlena.
Just for housekeeping, I would like to clarify how we're referring to these two parcels. Typically in our conditions, it's parcel A, B, 1, 2. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page since they're not labeled on mine.
Why don't we make the top one A and the bottom one B?
All right, thank you, Sam. Sorry, Siobhan, for interrupting.
And B is south. Siobhan, did you want to say anything before we get started, or you just want to chip in if necessary?
I am here if necessary, but I think it's all pretty cut and dry. If anyone has questions, and if I need to add, I will just jump right in if that's okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go down the list of recommended conditions here. So there was no waiver of survey requested, and there was no exception. So you guys will be filing a parcel map, is that correct, Sam?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so the first condition will be condition number 1, which is a note to be placed on the parcel map. All future external lighting, whether installed for security, safety, or landscape design purposes, shall be shielded, downcast, or shall be positioned in a manner that will not shine or allow light glare to exceed the boundaries of the parcel on which it is placed. That's a standard condition.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're skipping down to condition number 5, because this parcel is currently under a Williamson Act contract. Condition 5 is that all parties subject to the existing Ag Preserve contract number 470 shall rescind their contract in order to simultaneously enter into a new contract, which would enforceably restrict the same property for an initial term at least as long as the unexpired term of the contract, but not less than 9 years. So that's just requiring a rescind and re-enter for the Williamson Act contract, essentially matching the new contract boundaries to the two new parcels.
Is that going to be a note on the map, or that's just something that the owner needs to deal with?
That is a separate application, a separate process that they will have to apply for and complete within the, the time period to complete the subdivision conditions.
Okay.
And that's something it's submitted to planning, it goes to planning commission for recommendation, and it goes to the board for final approval. So you're probably looking at a roughly 8-month time period to get that done. So the sooner you get going on that, probably the better.
Does that has to be done before we can file the map then?
Yes.
Okay.
So then condition 6, a notation shall appear on the parcel map. Future development of building sites, access roads, or driveways. Wait, am I in the wrong one? Yeah. May be subject to the grading requirements and drainage control measures identified in the conditions of approval. And then we've got condition 8. A note shall appear on the parcel map. Prior to the development phase of the project, the subdivider shall contact the Mendocino County Air Quality Management District for a determination as to the need for an asbestos dust mitigation plan and or geologic survey to comply with CCR section 93105 and 93106 related to naturally occurring asbestos. This is because the soil maps show that this area has a high chance of having naturally occurring asbestos in the soil, so we just want to make sure that's mitigated. So then we'll skip down to condition 11. This entitlement does not become effective or operative, and no work shall be commenced under this entitlement until the CDFW filing fees are paid. So the current fee that I looked up yesterday, $2,406.75, and that's to the State Department of Fish and Wildlife. So then we'll skip down to number 12. A note shall appear on the parcel map. In the event that archaeological resources are encountered during development of the property, work in the immediate vicinity of the find shall be halted until all requirements of Chapter 22.12 of the Mendocino County Code relating to archaeological discoveries have been satisfied. That's a standard condition. Then we have condition 13. Those recommendations outlined in the archaeological report dated January 8th, 2021, prepared by Alex DeGiorgi, registered professional archaeologist, shall be complied with. In the event that additional archaeological resources are encountered during development of the property, work in the immediate vicinity of the find shall be halted until all requirements of Chapter 22.12 of the Mendocino County Code relating to archaeological discoveries have been satisfied. So then we're skipping down to number 18, which is at the top of page 5. This is the subdivider shall acknowledge in writing to the Department of Planning and Building Services that all grading activities and site preparation at a minimum shall adhere to the following best management practices. That's just a written acknowledgement that hits all those items in this code there. So then we've got question 19, because this parcel is within a FEMA designated flood zone. All areas within the subdivision map subject to flooding shall be clearly identified on the parcel map. And that stems from those the FEMA flood zone layer. Then we've got condition 20. The flood hazards report shall also include the 10-year flood line to the satisfaction of the Division of Environmental Health. Condition 22. Subdivider shall comply with those recommendations in the CAL FIRE letter of April 14th, 2020, CAL FIRE letter number 14620. And condition 23, the subdivider shall comply with those recommendations of the Long Valley Fire District. And Siobhan, I didn't actually see a comment letter from the Long Valley Fire District, but we like to leave that open in case they have any comments. Did I miss that, or have they responded?
They didn't respond, but I can double check, and if they have responded, follow the directive to add the condition. But I don't believe we received a response.
Okay. Thank you. So, yeah, so we'll leave that open. If they have any conditions, we'll add those. If they submit that prior to Planning Commission, that would be reviewed. Okay, so the next section is for hydrology and water quality, and I'll kick it over to Marlena here.
All right, Sam. We're going to do number 24. And we're going to have condition 25 for parcel B. Condition 26 for parcel A. I want to acknowledge that I have on record the condition for parcel A, number 26. So I am making sure that this condition is memorialized in the subdivision, but I'm letting you know that I believe I'm already in receipt of those items.
Yeah, there's a house in a permitted system on A, right?
And replacement areas.
So we already did the site review. We can redo it if you guys want to come back out. We just did some profiles during the summer. I forgot that you guys need to come out for that.
Well, we'll talk about that because we'll, once we receive the site evaluation report, we're going to do a pre-site inspection.
Okay, maybe I can meet you then.
So we're gonna, next page, go to condition number 28, which your report should address. Site map 1 inches 50 or less. And then our water conditions. Standard proof of water. So we're gonna have condition number 29, the first box, 1,200 gallon proof of water for inland areas.
We've done that.
Okay, and I believe that that well is located on A.
Yes.
Okay. And then we will have condition number 30, which is a mineral test. And that is all of environmental health conditions.
All right.
All right, thank you. And then I think we can skip that, the next section, excuse me, for land use and planning. It's coastal zone, that's not you guys. It's only 2 lots. All right, transportation. Do you have any comments or conditions here, Alex?
Yeah, let me get to this section. So 40C, if a parcel map is filed, all easements of record shall be shown on the parcel map. All utility lines shall be shown as easements with widths as shown of record or a minimum of 10 feet, whichever is greater.
Okay.
And 40E as well.
Drainage.
And then I'd like to just know, 40F isn't, it's not supposed to be like a condition, but more so just informational. So I don't think we need to make it a condition, but it looks like that Caltrans has already made, has a letter with their conditions. So we just usually like to see that they get addressed.
Yeah, they told where they wanted to put the encroachment. They wanted to get rid of some and add a new one. So we've
Okay.
already got that one done.
Perfect, sounds good. So just 40C and 40E from DOT.
All right, great.
So do we, Alex,
Yeah,
there's a Tom Kai runs through there. Am I going to have to draw that as an easement? I think we just put a note on the map that says all natural drainage, or do I need to actually show all that?
say that one more time.
I mean, not Tom Kai. 10
Yeah.
Mile Creek runs down through the middle of it.
I was squinting, I was like, I really.
Am I going to have to draw that in as some sort of an easement, or can I just put a note on there that says natural drainage and water courses?
Looks like they'll have to be shown.
Okay.
Okay, so then I think that takes us to the last page, the last 2 conditions from planning. Special condition number 48, building/development setbacks indicating front, rear, side to all property boundaries existing and proposed, and roadway/easements shall be designated on the parcel map. And special condition number 50, pursuant to Government Code Section 66492 and 493, prior to recordation of the parcel map, the subdivider must obtain a certificate from the Mendocino County Tax Collector stating that all current taxes and any delinquent taxes have been paid, and pay a security deposit for taxes that are lien but not yet due and payable. So that's everything that we've got. Sam, do you have any comments or questions for us?
No, I think I've got it all figured out.
Okay, great. So I've got a copy of the recommended conditions here in the file, and I'll pass that back to Siobhan, and she can get you guys going on your next step.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so now we're on to agenda item 4A, pre-application conference 2021-0002 from Michael and Tiffany White. This is a pre-app conference to review and provide feedback regarding the construction of a small winery as packing and processing winery. No vineyards are proposed. This is 2 miles east of Mendocino Town Center on the north side of Little Lake Road at 43,050 Little Lake Road, Mendocino. So Mark Kleiser is our staff planner, and why don't you take us through the memo here?
Okay, good morning. As stated, this project is for review of the packing and processing on a 4.8 acre parcel zoned RR2. This is just 2 miles east of the town of Mendocino. Staff visited the site on March 19th along with CDFW and the Water Board, and except for a temporary power pole and a 200 amp panel, the parcel is not developed. The parcel is located entirely within a pygmy forest and features wetlands, and the previous owner did remove some trees, quite a bit. Any development on this parcel will likely incur conditions of approval that will forbid the applicant to remove any additional vegetation, potentially for defensible space as well. Revegetation may also be a condition of approval for the project, as would using only permeable surfaces for roads and parking, and an initial study will be required. Further conditions set by CDFW and the Water Board are also anticipated. The Water Board will most likely require the applicant work with a qualified wetland specialist to perform forensic wetland delineation to determine if wetlands or other waters of the state have already been impacted on the property, or if waters will be impacted by the proposed development. I was expecting CDFW here this morning to speak. I don't think they are here.
And I'm sorry, before I had you go, I should have made sure that Avram was with us.
Oh, yes, the applicant is here.
Yeah.
I'm here. Can you see me or hear me?
We can hear you now. Thank you. Did you catch the beginning part of Mark's report there?
Yeah. I've been on for a little while now, and I should note, Michael and Tiffany White are not the owners anymore. My company, Undrinkable LLC, bought the property on January 20th, and I've sent in various documents, but environmental health. You're nodding. You got mine. Okay, good. So yeah, just a note.
Okay, thank you.
Is it my turn to comment on the development?
Yeah, that concludes my presentation of the memo and the project.
Thanks, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like Mark said, it's an undeveloped property in the Mendocino coastal, Mendocino cypress woodland. It was really informative to have Fish and Wildlife and the Water Board and Mark from planning out to the property. The proposed use is it's a packaging and processing winery, and I just want to note that description sort of is a very, very broad description covering all sizes of winery, from Fetzer, who our last name was on this before, up in Hopland, to what I do, which is totally artisanal and a one-man operation. And that's going to be really important in the projections of all the factors that go into acquiring a use permit for the new structure to be used as a winery in production. I sort of have my notes here. So my proposal is going to be for a 984 square foot facility, which is sufficient for my use to make about 2,000 cases of wine a year. Like Mark said, grapes not to be grown on the property, but grown actually in Hopland in those mountains. And another part of my proposal for a use permit is going to be a holding tank for my waste. And the reasons are many fold for that. First of all, it's appropriate for my use. I've actually been running a winery in Marin County for 5 years and have a 2,500 and have never filled it in 5 years. So that just shows how appropriate it is for my use, rather than digging out a large septic system. And then in this case, I'm sure you guys have the information, putting in a mound system. It would be overkill for the use that's going to take place in that little facility. Also, it would require clearing of that Mendocino coastal cypress woodland. I'm trying to avoid saying pygmy, or maybe move beyond that. Yeah, and I do not want to do that. Mark, we had a conversation at the property where we got to see the clearing that's been done, and I've been pretty much just cleaning up for a couple months, trying to prepare what's already been, the area that's already been cleared for development of this winery space and just development of the property in general. And I, for a plethora of reasons, I'm not comfortable clearing any more of some of the rarest vegetation in the world. You know, Jennifer, what was her last name? Garrison from the Department of Fish and Wildlife came out and just really made it apparent how precious that woodland is as a natural, not a resource. You know, that's a funny way of the human mind thinking of it as a resource, not a natural resource, just I guess a resource for the world. And so, yeah, so there's a few things that go into, so this project is obviously going to hinge on the waste from the winery. There's a septic plan already in place for this property. It's for a household. And I spoke to Benjamin Hutter from Environmental Health, and he told me that septic plan would not be appropriate for a winery of any size because winery waste is considered high strength waste. And so that actually goes with, you know, it's not appropriate for environmental health and it's not appropriate for my use as the applicant. So
why don't we take a pause right there and actually let the environmental health throw in some comments here. Marlena, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, plenty we can talk about. So there is a delineation of jurisdiction that I should first bring up. The County of Mendocino is not permitted to approve designs for wineries. The Regional Water Board in Santa Rosa, the North Coast region, is the primary permitter for that. So this holding tank that you are proposing will have to go through the regional board, well, the North Coast Regional Board. Mendocino County and Napa County have a different set of regulations when it comes to winery waste, if you're wondering, because I heard you mention your Napa. Marin County, your Marin County holding tank. So the permit that we have on file in environmental health has been kept current since 1990, long time, a couple decades. And that permit, while it is still valid, is only valid for domestic waste. Meaning, if you were required to have a bathroom in your facility that you're building, that septic system is only permitted to receive waste from employees or the public, depending on what you propose. I'm hearing you saying that you don't want to do that. I'm just wanting to clarify what that permit could potentially still be used for. The winery holding tank, you will have to get approved from the Regional Water Board.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would like to seek that approval. In terms of the septic system that's been designed, is there a way to recalibrate that from a full household to a small winery bathroom that may be required? Okay. Yes. And I imagine it would be quite a bit smaller and maybe would require less clearing, if any clearing at all. You know, there is a little bit of room for, obviously there's room for the holding tank. Maybe there's room for a small leach field as well.
The current permit was sized for 450 gallons per day, which is a 3-bedroom house design. I would anticipate that a 900 square foot facility would not have that much use in it, just for the domestic waste. And you would hire a site evaluator to submit a revision to this plan to environmental health.
Okay. A revision that would be appropriate for
the new use, yeah.
The new use being going to the bathroom, and in that, so it goes by the square footage, not number of bathrooms.
It's not number of bathrooms in any commercial or residential. We size off occupancy, so how much use. a structure can have. So with residential, we size off bedroom numbers, not bathroom numbers. And in commercial, we're going to size off of employee numbers and occupancy for the public if you are open to the public.
Definitely not. And I'm the only employee. So a site planner is who I need to contact.
A qualified site evaluator, I can give you a list that we keep. It is not exhaustive by any means, but is meant to help you have a list of where to start with people who have worked in Mendocino County doing the septic work.
Okay. Septic. So the septic engineer or company would be the site evaluator licensed by the county. Got it.
They have a state license.
Oh, licensed by the state. Okay. Licensed planner. I'm assuming that's Carl Ritteman in the area who has already been out to the.
He is a qualified site evaluator, or that firm is qualified.
Okay. Okay. In terms of the holding tank, I want to submit, when it is appropriate to actually apply for this use, I want to submit the other plans that I've been operating on. One in Marin, and I just signed a lease in a space in Cloverdale. That's a second county, Sonoma County, that is also on a holding tank. So I want to definitely get those two, and I want them to be looked at as, obviously it's I can only submit them and hope you do the right thing with them, but I want them to set a precedent, showing that even in totally legal and above board operations, holding tanks can be an effective way to handle wastewater.
So I'm presuming that your Sonoma site is also already permitted by the regional board there.
Yeah.
So that's the same paperwork and application that you would be going for this one.
So
it doesn't go to environmental health for the county. It's between you and the regional board.
Well, when I spoke to Benjamin Hutter, so first he was asking me about this plan, and he was really excited at first, and then he called me back and said something along the lines of environmental health. We're going to have a hard time approving this or giving the recommendation to planning that a holding tank would work for your use and for the situation. So yeah, that just led me to believe that there was that you guys look at each situation separately and
So
can approve that use or give the recommendation to planning. That would be a positive. Because what I worry about, sorry to cut you off, but what I worry about is that not that the system won't work. I obviously know that the system will work. I just worry that having to jump through so many hoops after a recommendation from environmental health is given to planning that says, no, we don't support this. I'm going to have to go to an appeals process and all this thing. Because the truth is like, it's an important, it's both important for my business to use the property that I bought and important for me to conserve the environmental resources. Again, I'm using that word, because it's, for lack of another word, that are there on the property, so, but I don't, if it's going to take a year of my time to get this special, even if it's to get the use permit approved so that I can start making wine on the property, I mean, that would be pretty catastrophic, both financially for me and just in time. And it would devalue the property, not in terms of its intrinsic value, but just, I bought a property. I'm 33 years old. This is like a move in my small business entrepreneurial road, and for that to snag up, it's just worrisome. So part of the reason that I wanted to come to this meeting, was so that I could, obviously septic tanks are the jurisdiction of environmental health. This holding tank seems to be like you guys are passing it off to the water board.
So the handoff is because of the winery waste, not because necessarily of the holding tank. All winery waste, even 300 gallons per year, has to first be applied for the system from the regional board. The county is not allowed to take in winery waste septic plans.
Okay.
Not without the explicit written permission from the regional board. And to get something like that, you would first have to apply to the regional board and start working with them. So the holding tank is something that is mentioned in our code, and it is not something that we allow for permanent use. They are only allowed per the code on public owned lands that are maintained for the public. So things like state parks, or in a jurisdiction where there is a sewer line that will be installed within 2 years. Outside of those two options, holding tanks are not allowed for projects in Mendocino County.
I wonder if I could read that, and if there's any stipulation for except in a situation where could you tell me do you have the number or section or whatever?
I will certainly send it to you, but
Okay.
It may absolutely be a permitted use with the water board. It's not a no. I'm not sending a negative recommendation to the planning department. I'm simply stating that your proposal is not my jurisdiction.
Okay.
Because of the winery waste. Any
Right.
part that you propose that's domestic, then we would comment on that. But any winery waste, we are not going to have a comment on.
Marlena, would you send me the code or literature that says that winery waste is
The jurisdiction of the regional board?
just send me all this stuff, because I'm confident that that reason will prevail. And
We already have 2 permits for 2 other sites in the same region of the water board. I don't see why this one would be any different. Sonoma and Mendocino are in the same North Coast region of the water board. They're overseen by the same entity.
I get it. I get it. I know. I just wonder, why not cross all the T's and all the I's if there's room in the code where going to different entities could be avoided. Wouldn't it just be simple? Little old me could just, anyways.
The water board tried to do that and they were legally not allowed to. So if they couldn't figure out how to do it, I wouldn't work too hard on that. I would say in 2017, there was a full review, because that's when the state OTS policy came into effect, the state on-site waste policy, which I'll send you, which mandated that to the jurisdictions from the state.
Oh. Okay. So could there be, well, you know what? Can we communicate by email? I don't want to take too much time of the meeting. It's already been a few minutes. So do you have my email in your notes, or can I take down your email and send you a few things?
I can, yeah. Avi, I can send you Marlena's email and introduce everybody.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, okay. I guess I just want to conclude by stressing, how I don't want to clear this land, and I own it and really want to put a winery on it. That's
Sure.
about it.
Let's hear from transportation first. Alex, do you have any comments or anything?
Yeah. So a couple of comments that, we'd probably recommend a condition on would be the entrance to the county road from the private road that this winery would be taking access from. So we would just condition, standard commercial driveway approach onto Little Lake. I know there's an existing approach there. And it is in somewhat slight disrepair from what I've seen. So an encroachment permit would be necessary just to possibly resurface depending on the condition of that approach.
Encroachment permit with Department of Transportation.
Correct.
That's something I can find on the website.
Yeah, that's on our DOT website.
Avi, I'll also include Alex on the email so that
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for facilitating, Mark. This is.
And then one other thing besides just the approach to the county road. I'm not sure. I know the property is kind of towards the end of the private road there. Do you know where you're going to be taking access off of that private road to your building?
Yes. I have well, actually the property is being surveyed. I'm supposed to get, there's a driveway that you can't see on the map because it was cleared by the previous owner just before sale, I guess. It's about 100 feet due east of the southeast corner of the parcel. And then there's
100.
Yeah, and so it's about a 30-foot wide, clearing in the trees where you can access the property, big enough for a truck and trailer.
So for the private road, wherever you're taking access on from this private road, it would need to be 22 foot wide and 8 foot inches of base. So I think most of the road is, from what I can see, is surfaced and wide enough. It's just at that tail end fronting your property appears to be on the more narrow side.
Yeah.
So that wherever you take access to your driveway from that private road, it would just need to be widened to 22 foot wide rocks.
Okay, I think that's.
And I can talk with you if you get, if you have a, maybe you can show me, more where you're going to be taking access from, and I can explain it to you.
Yeah, when I get the survey back and they'll put together a plot plan.
Okay.
It'll have all those dimensions, and I can even ask if they could put the current width of the road.
That would be helpful, just to know the current width and then see what we need to go from there. And I think you had in your application that you wanted to pave a certain section. I'm not sure what section that would be, but that would be fine as well if you.
Yeah, just as a courtesy to the neighbors, really.
To the neighbors, yeah. So, yeah, having that 22 foot wide would also, act as that courtesy for the neighbors and anybody else accessing it down there. So,
yeah,
it would just be 22 foot wide and 8-inch rock. We wouldn't have a paving requirement. If you wanted to pave it, that'd be on your own.
Okay. Just to comment, because I know I was so adamant about the trees before, that access is not in the Mendocino cypress woodland, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
No trees need to
go. Yeah, no, I'd hate to see precious trees go, and if it was, there'd probably be an exception if they were.
Okay.
I didn't finish, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
We spent so much time on septic, we took a pause, but we didn't talk about water.
Yeah.
That could be a big one. So you guys, your lot is in the coastal groundwater study, not the coastal zone, different map.
Okay.
And the county code delineates your water requirement in this area between the type of use permit you submit. So major water uses versus minor water uses are what the coastal groundwater guidelines call out, and I can send you a copy of that. And the difference is having to do a proof of water from a water well on the parcel, or a hydrologic study, which is considerably more expensive. So a major water use is defined in our code as equal to or greater than 1,500 gallons per day of maximum demand.
Oh my gosh.
That's the delineation between the major and the minor. So 1,500 gallons per day and above, you're going to have to do a hydrologic study versus a proof of water. So
Is that proposed use, or does that come with the major minor use permit? Because it's the same terminology. You know, I'm going to be getting a major use permit. Does that mean it's major water use?
major water use definition is the quantity of water your project is proposing to use, not necessarily because it's called a major use permit.
Okay, thank you. Definitely will be minor, so I'll do those guidelines.
And do you have any questions about that? If it is minor, under 1,500 gallons per day, then you're going to be needing to do a proof of water, which is a well pump test, and it's going to need to demonstrate a certain amount of water is available. And
okay, I've contacted a well drilling company. I'm on the schedule. They said they would take care of the permitting. My only question is, I mean, you know, will environmental health be open to alternatives if for some reason the site can't prove that water? I mean, again, it's, you know, if we're talking about the reality of things, my use, 1,500 gallons is my yearly use. So daily is, you know, I don't know what I forget what you said, the minor. I mean, yeah, I hope it's not an issue.
well, I'm not sure I can give you an exact answer on that. If you get a dry hole and there's no water available on the project, I think that would be a problem. I don't know that your project would be approved.
Okay.
Trucking in water. I feel like that is something that maybe planning can speak to a little more. I do want to highlight or just let you know ahead of time that once your well is drilled, the well drilling company isn't the entity that does the proof of water. The same type of engineer that designs septic needs to conduct that test. It's a separate test. So the well completion report that you get when you drill a well is not the report that I am talking about being required for your use permit.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Thanks for going over that. I'm hoping that's not going to be a major issue.
Yeah.
I appreciate you going over it.
If you get a well and you hit water and you do a well pump test and it looks like there's sufficient water for the amount of water you're proposing per year, then it's a non-issue. But if you can't find any water, I don't know how you would proceed. And I guess that's kind of a question I would also have for planning and building.
Okay. 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 Well, we can cross that bridge when we come to it on my end, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Okay, so then just as far as next steps, with the exception of the water control board and getting that storage tank permitted, it sounds like most everything else that we've discussed could be a condition of the use permit and would basically be all dealt with at that application, with that application. Is that correct?
Yep. Can I talk about building permit for a sec if we're off the use permit? Because I want to mention defensible space and CAL FIRE for pretty much the same reason.
Sure. We don't have anybody from the building division here today, so I don't know how technical our information can get, but yeah, fire away.
Well, I just wanted to ask anything that CAL FIRE requires in terms of defensible space, and then I was probably going to have to say that I need an exception because the trees are so precious.
Right.
That's all. If it's not the appropriate time to do that, I don't have to do that. You know, we can obviously there's a permit that's going out, or there's an application that's going out to CAL FIRE, so I can cross that bridge again when I come to it. But just want to cover everything because this was an expensive meeting, and I just wanted to say it.
And I will reach out to building as well and find out about those materials. I know that we discussed that removing trees for defensible space might be an issue, but I will coordinate with building and CAL FIRE and see what we can do, or if there's materials you can use that would not require a defensible space.
Okay, in terms of buildings, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I'm proposing steel and then a concrete.
Okay.
That covers it. Hey, I know this is usually something people say during hearings, but I think we're coming to a close, and I just want to say I'm really excited to be opening up business in Mendocino. It's really sucked watching agriculture sort of get sucked dry out here in Marin County. Not to knock anything, but the future is bright up there, and I've been using Mendocino grapes for a long time, and I'm just excited to be where you guys are at. And I appreciate today giving me all the info and stuff. So
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sitting down with us. We appreciate the time to give you the detailed information, and anything else you can coordinate with Mark, next steps and the permit applications, and let us know if you need anything else.
cool.
Thanks, Avi.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Good luck.
Thank you, Marlena.
All right. So we have one thing left. Real quick, I just want to go back to 3B, the minor sub application. I want to go ahead and do a motion for that. I don't know that we did a motion. Just to recommend those conditions to the planning commission.
I wondered, but
Okay.
then I bit my tongue.
Yeah, it slipped my mind. So let's go ahead and do that now.
All right. I make a motion that we approve our recommended conditions, or send our recommended conditions to Planning Commission for minor subdivision 2020-0003.
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so we've got one item left. It's about 10 after 10. Does anybody want to take a quick break first, or do you want to just power through it?
Are they here? Is anyone here?
We have one representative.
Siobhan is
The
here, and
agent.
then we have the agent. So
Then let's not take up more of their time.
okay.
I'm ready if you guys are, yeah.
All right. So last item, agenda item 4B, pre-application conference 2021-0003. Natividad Montoya is the owner. Applicant is the Mendocino Fire District. This is a pre-app for an administrative CDP to build one 40 by 50 foot fire apparatus storage facility, rocked driveways with paved aprons, and one 10,000 gallon concrete water tank. So this is in the coastal zone. Looks like Forrest Francis is here with us. And so Forrest, if you want to give us just a real brief summary of your request, and then we'll start going around the room here.
Very briefly, we want to build a, sorry. Jeez.
Dogs and cats, and we got the whole...
That does come across very loud.
It's chasing Avi's cat, I think, from the last meeting. We're building a metal building on a piece of property out 3 miles out Kamshikaya Road to house two surplus fire trucks. And water storage for the area. This is not a firehouse. This is for surplus fire apparatus. Will they ever be rolled out of there to a fire? Probably at some point, but that's not its main function. Nat Montoya is the owner of the property. We will be dividing off a half an acre to under the provisions of government which is totally legal. And we will not need water. We will not need septic. This is a garage. What spurred this is that we had a garage out at the CDF facility on Little Lake Road, and that we've been under a lease for them for 30 years, and they said you have to leave, so they get our building. And I also want to thank Siobhan. She's been working with me very hard on this one. That's briefly it.
Great, thank you. So I think on this one, we'll start with environmental health. It sounds like there's probably not a whole lot of comments for this one.
Yeah, if there's no bathroom bathroom, no plumbing, no water in, no water out, then I don't have any comments, or I wouldn't make a requirement on that.
Okay, transportation, Alex, any thoughts on access there?
Yeah, I would just recommend, you know, the two driveways that you approached, you already kind of mentioned them in your site plan, but they would just need to be, you know, commercial approaches per municipal standard. Sounds like you already guys know that you guys have to pave, you know, 20 feet inward from the road edge. An encroachment permit would be required.
Okay, so encroachment permits.
Yep.
All right, Siobhan, let's talk about planning issues.
Gesundheit, whoever that was. So essentially, one of the biggest concerns is the incompatibility with the existing zoning designation and what would be required to store vehicles of this nature. The issue at the other site in Little Lake is that it's located inland. So inland zoning designations allow for this type of use in just about every zoning. Unfortunately, as we all know, the coastal zoning is a little more restrictive. So basically what both the director and assistant director of planning and building services have recommended is that first the parcel itself be established. And because it is a split zone parcel in the coastal zone, when I contacted the Coastal Commission, they confirmed that the county did in fact have jurisdiction. So in order for us to support a project of this caliber, we would first want to see that the parcel was created appropriately and that it had appropriate zoning designation. So the first thing to do would really be a rezone general plan amendment. Once that happened, everything does become quite easy. And it would only be a coastal development permit in order to erect the structure. There are a couple of things I do want to bring up with relation to water. At current, I have not confirmed the type of occupancy the structure would have to have. Furthermore, if it is considered commercial or needs to meet some other type of requirement, I could see how there's a potential that there is some kind of sanitation service provided. Because, you know, Forrest, even as you mentioned, the fire storage trucks are going to be in a structure. It is likely that they are going to be used at some time. That purpose, even as infrequent as it might be, is, you know, informed by the use. So they do have to go together to a certain degree, but we would want to speak more to the chief building inspector regarding how the structure itself would be occupied. But I do want to be clear, I do see a pathway forward here. I think it's just a very precarious one and will take some time. From an environmental perspective, as far as the resources, I did receive some comments from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and their concern, if you look at map packet page 2, there is an existing clearing that is not being proposed to be used, rather to clear around the existing clearing. And they have a bit of an issue with that, as does the county, given the fact that the clearing does already exist and it will reduce additional disturbance of, you know, a sensitive resource. I think that moving forward, we could do more work to figure that out and sort of massage Fish and Wildlife's concerns. It still is a matter of creating the parcel appropriately and then having the appropriate zoning designation. So that's pretty much all that I have. I understand the project is critical for service, and after having many discussions with Forrest, I understand why this particular location makes the most sense. And it is possible, it just does need a little bit of work.
You want to unmute him?
I wouldn't,
He can also.
I want to make sure I understood, because what I'm hearing is if the building department, for some reason, requires an accessible bathroom in this structure, which I don't know if they would, what if, then environmental health would require a very small septic system for that. And I'm thinking there may even be a water condition, meaning a well, or an agreement with the other side of the property for water. So that makes a big difference in your project.
And also, this was the first time that I heard that the water in the storage tank wasn't necessarily for the apparatus. So this would be a good time to get clarification from Forrest. Forrest, can you illuminate on this for us a little bit? Like, how does water get in the tank to be stored?
Okay, the fire district is spotting fire water tanks around our district. We've been doing this for a while. And also, public health knows that sometimes when the well is put in and the storage tank is needed, they'll have to supply X number of gallons for firefighting. So that's what we're doing. The water gets into the tank by the water trucks that we have in the fire district. We have 2 or 3 water tanks or water trucks that can truck water and fill up these tanks. We definitely don't need a well, and I hope we don't need a septic facility, but perhaps if that happens and they say that we do, we could put in a porta potty. I don't know. It would just look terrible.
That's probably not going to happen.
Okay, but I really do not believe that we need a septic system or a facility, because we do not have one at our other storage facility.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why my statement is that I don't know, and
Yeah.
we need to confirm with building, because I don't want to speak on their behalf. Again, I'll say, if that other one was inland,
Yeah.
if you can do the thing by right, the process is not the same if you can do the thing by discretion. And so when we compare the inland, we have to be very careful not to assume that something that applies to an inland parcel is also applicable in the coastal zone. So
Yeah.
I am definitely, I think, if this is something that the district wants to move forward on, I can make a point to be very clear with building as to what their requirements would be before we move on, just so that you know.
Thank you, Siobhan.
Yeah, no problem.
My other quick problem is that it's a question of the chicken and the egg. And this is that us creating this property, we can do the district can do the division anytime. We don't have to go through any governmental agency to divide off this property. But if we divide it off and can't use it, that doesn't make sense to the district.
Right, and then conversely, for planning and building, it's hard to recommend approval of something that doesn't exist. And so I think that was the director and assistant director's biggest concern. What I would recommend for us is that you put this in writing exactly from your words, especially after you go back to your board, and make the general request to the assistant director and director. Because that was their recommendation to staff when staff approached. And frankly, from their perspective, I totally understand, because you're not just taking sort of half of the existing parcel. You're taking a portion that fronts the frontage that's in the coastal zone that's also in Isha. And
Yes.
in addition to that, we're asking for more disturbance in order to preserve a cleared area of sensitive habitat.
And
Yeah.
can I
Well-
ask how many square feet this portion is? I can't recall. The proposed,
The building,
no, the section of the parcel that you're proposing.
it's a half an acre,
Yeah.
of which we're going to be clearing and using half of that. So our cleared site in this issue would be about 1/4 acre, which includes the building, both driveways, and the water tank area and parking for 2 or 3 vehicles.
I think that we would have to address the minimum lot size and try and figure out a waiver for that. Because creating a parcel of that size that needs on-site water and on-site sewer, regardless of whether you develop it in that way, requires 40,000 square feet. And it doesn't sound like that's what this parcel is going to be.
No, it's just a little over 20.
I'm just bringing up that it would flag that it doesn't meet the county's minimum lot size requirements. And we'll have to figure that.
That doesn't matter because this is a special district and we could divide off 15 square feet legally. It would not meet the standard for on-site water and sewer, septic, but we don't want on-site septic and water.
I would need to learn more about how those work.
Okay.
And Marlena, I will follow up with you. This was one of my questions as well. It refers to the manner in which they absorb the property. Because they are a public entity, they are able to do so. I had very similar concerns and didn't quite understand, so we'll follow up there. Forrest, what though, back to what my recommendation about, because it sounds like one of your biggest concerns is the general plan amendment reason. And the fact that we want you to create the parcel first and change the zoning before allowing for it to be used in that capacity. If that's really your hang up, I think we should hyper-focus there and talk to the people who have the authority to make those decisions, because I can't. And that was the recommendation that I've already been given, but I'm definitely willing to go back to the table.
Okay, well, we'll be in touch, but I thank you for your help on that. Yeah, I can't take this piece of property from this owner and then not build a firehouse on it, because that's his whole point in donating it, or not donating, selling it to us.
Okay, so what are we looking at for next steps? Forrest, you want to go back to your board and kind of give them the update and see how to proceed and then come back to us, or do you want to try to get together with Siobhan and
I'll get together with Siobhan and massage this and figure out a way to move forward. If it's rezoning, that sounds like a problem, but Siobhan, the expert here, and she can walk me through it. And I think our probably next step is either A, to divide the property, or B, to come up with an application for rezoning or building permit. But I don't think we need another pre-application conference. I've been educated here this morning.
Yeah, no, I think as far this is still kind of a hypothetical thing, and we've probably covered that in as much detail as it's possible without actually having an application or something to review.
Right.
And I do think, Forrest, in order to have a conversation with management, we just need a tool to facilitate. And I think the way that you've articulated your concern about our recommendation, I can work with that. And if you get me that in writing, we can see. I can't make any promises because they're pretty adamant about how the process should be. That doesn't mean I'm not going to ask again.
Thank you.
Okay, so unless we have any other comments or questions, I'd say we're done with this item.
Just one other comment, going back to Avi's winery. I'm also a land surveyor, and we are doing a plot plan and survey map of that, which should be finished today.
Oh, okay.
Good to know. All right, thanks, Forrest.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 5, matters from staff. Do we have any matters from staff? Looks like a no. So then agenda item 6, adjournment. So I'd say we're done for today. Thanks guys, you're awesome.
Bye.
See you later.